One of the amazing things about running is how powerful it can make us feel. As we train to get stronger and faster, we not only build our muscles, but our confidence as well. But even the most confident among us felt fear creep in when the news of the kidnapping and murder of Eliza Fletcher made headlines this fall. Running alone hasn't suddenly become more dangerous since then, but it has become more scary. When I heard about the story and saw runners posting about it online, I stayed silent. I didn't want to add my voice to the conversation because I was mostly just angry. I was angry that one man could steal the life of Liza and rob the confidence of so many others. I didn't want to post about safety tips when running alone because Liza wasn't being unsafe. She wasn't killed because she was doing something wrong. But what I do want to do is take our power and our confidence back. We can't control the predators in our world, but there are ways that we can run with less fear and more confidence no matter what time of day. And I don't think it's too dramatic to say that what you are about to hear could end up saving your life. Welcome to The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic, and my mission is to help you improve your running, your mindset, and your life with science-backed training and plant-based nutrition. On this episode, I've brought on someone who was not afraid to use her voice in response to this tragedy, Whitney Heins from the Mother Runners. You'll learn key safety tips that you should use on every run, what you should do if you are threatened on the run, and how to get the skills you need to fight back. Whitney is a sub-3 marathoner, run coach, and creator of The Mother Runners, an acclaimed blog all about the unique running experience we mother runners go through. Her work has been featured in Runner's World, The Huffington Post, Women's Running, U.S. News and World Report, and many more. She is also the host of the Passionate Runner podcast and a regular contributor to Marathon Handbook and Runner Click. This is definitely a serious episode on a very heavy topic, but I think you'll find that Whitney is finding a way to change the narrative from fear to empowerment. And as always, be sure to listen all the way to the end for this week's Mental Strength Minute to fortify your mind in 60 seconds or less. And now, here's my conversation with Whitney Heins. Welcome to The Planted Runner, Whitney.
I am so honored. I've been listening to your latest episodes, and I'm just really honored to be on here with you, Claire.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a great transition, so I'm happy to be on my own, totally doing everything 100% me. So it's great, and I'm really happy to have you on as a guest as well. I've wanted to talk with you for a while. I've followed your journey too, so it's great to finally virtually meet each other. So today I want to talk about some kind of current events and things that have been happening. And right now it's fall and the days are getting shorter, and most of us are going to have to start running in the dark, especially if early morning is our only time to run. That is starting to feel a little bit more scary these days, especially with the news of what happened with Eliza Fletcher a few weeks ago. You've spoken a lot about this topic online. I have not really been able to talk about it online. So this is what I wanted to talk about with you today. So first of all, can you explain what happened for those who might not have heard the story?
Yeah, Eliza Fletcher, 34 years old, mom of two, was doing her early morning run on a Friday morning. She typically ran with other people, about a group of 4 others. And I guess that morning she would run before work. She was a pre-K teacher, I believe. And she was running on a main road near the University of Memphis, and a road she's run probably thousands of times. And a man in a truck, SUV, saw her. I think he kind of swung around and parked and waited for her to run past and attacked her and put her in his car, and her body was found a few days later. So she was running, I think it was around 4:30 in the morning, which, a lot of non-runners don't understand. But as runners, and especially moms, moms in particular know this, and working moms, like that is the only window that we have to run. So running hours before the sun comes up is not uncommon.
Yeah, well, first of all, what happened to Liza is actually extremely, extremely rare, but it got a whole lot of attention. And that, running didn't suddenly become more dangerous, but it became, being afraid to run by ourselves in the dark suddenly became, front of mind, would you say?
Yeah. And I mean, I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, on the other side of the state. And a couple days later, an attempt of something similar happened where a woman was running 7:30 in the morning on the pedestrian mall area of downtown Knoxville. Lots of cute restaurants, boutiques, lots of people around. She was attacked. They attempted rape, but people saw and stopped it. So it's not common, but it's still a threat. And obviously, I feel like when something like this happens, then I don't know what happens. Bad guys get the idea in their head and they're like, oh, maybe I can try this too. It just seems like when this happens, there's more prevalence of it. And then, on the runner side, there's just obviously we have heightened awareness, and then that kind of wanes until something else happens again. And then we realize, hey, wait, we do need to take extra precautions to protect ourselves.
Yeah. And, we'll talk about a lot of those extra precautions in just a minute. I think the reason that I felt really uncomfortable voicing what I had to say, because my immediate thought was, of course, sadness. This is a horrible tragedy. But then anger, anger that somebody would take away not just this young mother's life, but, that is what we do. We go and we run. We do this for our physical health. We do this for our mental health. We do it for a sense of accomplishment. And this person completely has terrorized a generation of runners, with what he did to this particular person. And we could talk about safety, and we are going to talk about safety. I think that's very important, but I don't think Liza was being unsafe,
Right.
And that's the hard part, for me at least.
I think that's I posted about it on Instagram and Facebook, and particularly on Facebook, people left messages that I deleted or thought about deleting, kind of blaming her. Like, well, why was she running? Why was she running in a sports bra? Well, because it's Memphis and it's early September and it's hot. Why was she running at those hours? Because that was the only time that she could train and go after her goals. I heard that she was training for the St. Jude Marathon. Why was she running alone? Why was she running in Memphis? Well, because she lives in Memphis, and she was running alone because she is a mom, and it's really hard to make our schedules line up. And sometimes you have to run alone in the morning. And so the judgment that really, that just really made me mad, because she's out there trying to do what's best for her, to be her best self for her family, so she doesn't have to lean on other people, so she can be with her kids when she gets home from work. And so that in particular made me mad, obviously, on top of the fact that we feel like we have to go take all these extra steps because we feel unsafe when we're trying to do this thing that makes us better.
Yeah, exactly. Not running is actually a lot more dangerous than going for a run in the dark. All the things, all the diseases that, people get from not exercising are far more dangerous. Driving in your car is far more dangerous. Right. All of these things that we do without even thinking about it. And, this poor woman gets attacked literally and figuratively for doing something that is actually so good for you. That's the part that just infuriates me so much. I
totally agree.
Yeah. So we know that she was carrying her phone with her. They found it at after this happened. Carrying your phone can be, a good safety device. You can call somebody, but obviously it's not foolproof, as we, see. So you had some great tips that you posted that can give us a little reassurance, that can potentially help us in a situation. Do you want to go over a few of those with us?
Yeah, I mean, I highly recommend carrying your phone and having it easy to get to. I know a lot of sports bras, like they have it in the back, and I don't know. I find it not easy to access your phone and pull it out and use it if you need it. But I think running with your phone or there's a bunch of devices out there that can sound an alarm, like Run Angel, that can call your loved ones if you need help. If you run with your Garmin, for example, there's live tracking, so your loved ones can track you, but there's also, you can send, if you have your phone with you, they do have a watch model where you don't have to carry your phone. But most of them, you have to have your phone with you so that you can contact your loved ones if you need help, or emergency services. Something that I did not realize, and I think they may have changed it now, but Strava defaults to public. So if you have a Strava account, you need to go in there and check your privacy controls, because if you don't, I think they went in after Eliza Fletcher's death and changed it so that they automatically hide your start and end position by like a eighth of a mile. But you can completely hide your map, but go in there and make sure people can't see where you're starting and stopping, because chances are it's from your house and a stranger, a predator, can see where you live.
Right.
And especially if you have your run set so that not only followers see you, but everybody can see you. And if you do go in and change your controls, you have to look and edit past activities as well, because it doesn't automatically do that. And I would say, a lot of people say, hey, well, Liza, she had her phone and it didn't help her. And that's true. And that's why I think the best thing you can do is take self-defense classes. If you run with something like a blade or a defender ring or pepper spray, the chances of you knowing how to use that when you're attacked and you're fight, flight, or freeze, and most people freeze, is slim to none. And so I think taking self-defense classes, no time is better than the present, making sure that it's really like muscle memory, you know what to do if you're attacked from all different positions, is really the best thing you can do to keep yourself safe. And that's, for me personally, it was always on a bucket list, and I've talked about it for the longest time. And now I'm finally doing it, and I'm finally taking a self-defense class every week. I have my mom taking it with me, a couple of my mother runner friends, because it's not even just like when you're running. Unfortunately, it's like if you're leaving Target with your kids and somebody comes up to you, and just knowing how to create pain in somebody so that you can run away is, it's vital.
Yeah, absolutely. I took a self-defense class with some runner friends of mine a few years ago, and it was really helpful, but I haven't done that. I did the one class and I'm like, yay, I'm good. And it's not really like that. I need to probably do it again. So you took one recently. Tell us what you're learning. Any tips?
Yeah. So I arranged there's a local Krav Maga gym here in Knoxville. And so I asked them to do a free class, and 100 women showed up.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And it became very apparent to me when I took that class that this is something that I need to practice. And so I realized that one class is not enough. So I signed up for a series of classes that I'm doing for the next few months, because a lot of runners are not super coordinated. That's why we choose running, right? Okay, maybe I'm just talking about myself, but it does require some coordination. Like you have to, I need to put my dominant leg behind me. I need to twist at the hip. I need to go at a 45-degree angle. There's all these tricks that you need to learn to be more effective. And you need to learn several different, if they come up from behind, if they tackle you from the side, if they're grabbing onto your ponytail or choking you or grabbing your wrist, like these are all moves that you need to learn to get out of those types of holds or out of those types of attacks. A lot of it is counterintuitive. And so, I am gradually feeling more empowered, but at the same time, I am feeling like, wow, I have been a walking target, because these are not moves that would come naturally to me at all.
Right.
So, it's been very eye-opening, and I'm so glad I'm doing it. And I'm so glad my mom is taking these classes too, and my friends are, because a lot of runners think, hey, well, I can just outrun them. I had a couple guys like grab me once when I was running downtown, and I was able to outrun them, but I think they were drunk. They weren't they were just a bunch of drunk guys. But we think, hey, we can outrun them, but not necessarily, especially if they're on something. We can't bank on our endurance or our speed to outrun an attacker.
Yeah. And one interesting thing that I learned through that class is the power of leverage. We think, especially as women, most of the time we are smaller than our attacker. We are tiny, little runners who don't do enough strength training. So,
right.
We are just like, how on earth can I outpower some 200-pound plus dude. And it's about leverage, the power of using your body in a really unique way that, like you said, it's counterintuitive. You don't think about moving towards your attacker in a certain way. You think about getting the hell away from him, right?
Mm-hmm. No, totally. And yeah, and a lot of it is twisting your body in a way so that you create space so that you can get away. Or yes, like you said, like if somebody comes and bear hugs you from behind, you drop down low. And so that way it's harder for them to lift you up. I mean, it's just little tricks like that. And the self-defense class that I'm taking is rooted in Krav Maga. And so it's a great equalizer. It's not based on strength or size. The moves that they teach you can help anybody, no matter how big or small you are. So it's been pretty cool in that just in the past couple weeks that we've been taking the class. Like the first class, we were all kind of timid, it just doesn't come natural, I think, to a lot of women to be aggressive. And even if the guy's like, hey, hit me as hard as you can, we're still like, oh, I don't want to hurt you, or just kind of, tapping into that. And already in a couple of classes, I have seen women come out of their shells, myself included, and be more aggressive. And I think that also will come in handy, like, if you feel like somebody is invading your space and you're trying to be polite and you don't want to cross a line, I think it will give us the push that we need to trust our gut, and this person is a threat. And so we need to make sure that they know that we're something that they're going to have to deal with. We're not going to go down without a fight,
Yeah. Obviously people that want to attack women or men, I mean, it's not specifically women, but it's, we're more likely to be the target. Obviously these people are out there. They're not going away. Nothing we do is going to change their motivation to be bad people.
Right.
But the things that they are doing instill fear in us. And what we want to do is find something that lessens the fear and find something that empowers us so that we can go running and feel better. But the risks are not changing, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I just think what people do who attack other people like this is they're spreading fear to all of us. And the only way to counteract it is to do something ourselves, even though it's not our problem. That's right. What I struggle with so much, like we're putting it on ourselves that we have to do something when it's actually they're the bad ones,
Yeah. I mean, yes. And I've seen a lot of comments about that on Instagram where, well, hey, how about we just create a world in which men aren't attacking women? And it's like, well, that would be great, but you can't control other people. And so the only thing you can control is yourself. And I mean, who wouldn't want to be stronger and really, like, the kicker for me, or the clincher, I should say, was when I learned that, so I live in Knoxville, and it's where a bunch of like Interstate 40 and Interstate 75 converge. And so we are a spot that is hot for human trafficking. And when I heard that, especially women, mothers and daughters are targets, that's when I was like, okay, I have to take this class, because if I am walking somewhere and I have my kids with me, I can't protect them. And I want to be able to protect them. And it's not just about myself anymore. And that terrified me. And was the push that I needed to empower myself to be stronger. And I look forward to, my daughter Eleanor taking classes, and my son Cal with me. They've taken a couple already, but, just to really ingrain it. But we can't control other people, but we can control, how we are. We can make sure that we're not, I mean, there are things that we can do in addition to taking self-defense that are simple to make ourselves not targets, which is, don't be on your phone. Don't be listening to your music so loud that you can't hear around you. And that's me. I mean, I love running to music, and
me too.
It's hard. I run with one earbud in now, and I don't enjoy it as much, but I'm like, I have to be aware of my surroundings. I have to know, I mean, even just if there's cars, obviously I always have one out, but, just I think the biggest thing is making sure that you are aware of your surroundings and you're not completely like invested in your phone when you're walking around or running.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So you mentioned something earlier about that there's a device that will sound an audible alarm. What was that?
That one's called the Birdie.
Okay. So it's like a bracelet or what?
I think there are bracelets, but the Birdie is a handheld device and it's got like a pin at the top and you just pull it out and it's a super loud alarm. But there's there's a lot I've learned now, a lot of self-defense items. In this class, they said that the best thing you can carry is I forget what he called it, but it's like just a little like pocket knife type blade thing. And they said that that's the best thing. I run with something called a Defender ring, which has the one that I wear is rose gold and it has a rose at the top and you just unscrew the rose off. And then it has a very sharp blade and I wear it on my pinky. And I've actually accidentally cut myself with it, but I wear it on my pinky. And so if somebody were to come at me, I have practiced that I would do my eye strike and then I would hammer fist them with the hand that it has the ring on it in the face. And that way it injures them, but it also collects DNA.
Oh, good point. Good point. Yeah, because some of these things I have wondered about whether, they can be used against us or, like pepper spray. If you don't know how to use pepper spray, you can spray it in your own eyes, which causes a problem. Or if I've heard people say, why don't you bring a gun when you go running? I mean, all of these things that people say, and I'm just like, what? I don't want to arm myself like that.
No, I mean, I don't even when it's 95 degrees outside, I don't like to run with water. I just don't want to carry things. I like to have my hands free. I have a neighbor who keeps telling me I need to run with a small pistol. I'm like, yeah, that's just not going to work for me. But
yeah, no. Well, and the thing is, whatever you do carry, like you said, make sure that you know how to use it. You've practiced it many, many times. Because, if you're wearing a knife on your ring and you can't get the rose off in time, that's not going to do you any good either, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I take it off before I go running. And now I send a text to my husband so he knows where I'm going. And if it's dark outside, I make sure I stay in a safe area, even if it means running the same mile stretch over and over again. And then something I haven't mentioned, which should be common sense, is run with other people as much as you can.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's just good advice socially. Having some runner friends is absolutely transformative. So try to do that if you can. And, one thing that's kind of underrated that people don't think about so much is light yourself up like a Christmas tree. That's good for cars seeing you, but it's also good to make yourself really, really conspicuous. If you are just blazing like a candle, you're not an easy target if you're just, inconspicuous with one little headlamp or whatever.
True. Yeah. I have had some people say that they like to run completely dark because then they think people can't see them. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I could see that argument, but yeah, I agree with you. Being lit up, well, and especially for cars, to be able to see you. But running with people as much as you can is the best, I would say, is the number one thing you can do to keep yourself safe. Because I don't know if you have, but I have not heard of an instance where a runner is attacked when they were part of a group.
No, I haven't. I mean, maybe it has happened. I haven't specifically heard it, but a lot of this stuff does get underreported too. Liza was, a rich white young mom, and that's something that the media culture likes to focus on. There's definitely been stories of people who did not look like her that have been attacked, and those don't get as much press for lots of reasons. So, it's sad.
It is really sad. Yeah. I mean, I know Carolyn Sue at Diverse We Run has shed light on a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of runners in the past that were people of color, where a lot of people didn't hear about their cases. I learned about Liza initially because actually Liza and I had messaged each other on Instagram before, and I knew kind of some of her friends. And one of her friends reached out to me Saturday morning saying, hey, she's missing. Can you share this information? And I think for a lot of mom runners, we could easily put ourselves in we knew the backstory of what she was doing that morning. We could very easily put ourselves in her place that, this is getting the cup of coffee, gradually waking up, laying out the clothes the night before so we don't wake up our kids and our spouse. Like we could very much picture us doing the same thing. And so I think for many people, myself included, that's why it hits so close to home, because that's something that I regularly do.
Yeah. What can we do as a running community to stand up to acts of violence like this? I mean, we're not going to stop running. I hope people aren't going to stop running because of this.
I think there are a couple of things. One, if you know a friend who is practicing something unsafe, like they are running alone in the dark with headphones on, speak up and tell them that that is unsafe, and try to empower them. Reach out to them about running together or giving them a personal safety device. I gave a ring to a friend that I know runs alone a lot earlier this week, a Defender ring. And I think that's a big thing, is if you see someone, don't just be quiet and polite, but say, hey, that's not actually a smart way to run. And I think when we talk to our male runners, our male counterparts, making sure that they're doing their part as well. I know in the days following Eliza Fletcher, I saw a lot of men who were out there who made eye contact with me when I was running, gave me big hellos. My husband was out running actually and saw this car kind of cruising behind two college girls running, kind of a sketchy looking car. And he stayed with them until the car, like it turned around and stopped. And then they saw him coming and he left, or the car left. Like, be vigilant of fellow runners and do what you can to keep them safe. And I really think taking self-defense classes is a must. I really do. Again, not just as a runner, but just unfortunately in this world we live in, I think it's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're kind of fun, for sure.
They are fun. Yeah. One of my friends I was doing it with, she was like, I didn't think I kind of had to really talk her into it. But she's like, I kind of really am looking forward to it now. And it's like when you hit the bag or like the pad that they hold, like it's very, I don't know, it's just like very satisfying to like feel the power. And then it makes a good satisfying sound when you hit it. So yeah, it is actually kind of fun. And you could make the argument that it counts as strength training.
Definitely. Yeah, because, obviously no one wants these tragedies to ever happen again, because we feel scared. We feel helpless. We feel like, oh my God, this is a scary thing that I'm doing. But there are ways to turn that fear into empowerment, with education and practice. And if you absolutely have to run in the dark, if that's your only time to run, there are ways to make it less scary. And, the number one thing is reach out to your community, find some running buddies. If you live in any decent sized town, there are people just like you. I promise you, Yeah.
I encourage people to reach out to their local track club. If your town doesn't have a track club, go to the local running store. It's pretty easy to find running buddies. Or if you have a friend who's on the fence, you can convert them into a runner, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are some positives that can come out of it. And I used to run alone all the time. I'm introverted. I really enjoy that time alone, but my whole world has opened up since I started running with other people, including when that's how I got the idea to found my business, The Mother Runners, was when I started running with other moms and realizing like, hey, they're in the same boat as me with all these parenting challenges and so forth. So it's a great way to push yourself out of your box and broaden your horizons and form friendships. Cause I really think that like your running friends are probably your closest friends because you share everything on the run.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a lot better than just millions of miles on the treadmill, right?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. I mean, the treadmill is a beautiful tool.
Yes, it is.
But, when you can get outside, do it.
Awesome. I think that's a perfect place to wrap this up. So where can listeners find you, Whitney?
They can find me at The Mother Runners on Instagram, and my website is themotherrunners.com.
Perfect. Well, we'll have all of that in our show notes. Most people are on the run right now listening to this. So hopefully everybody feels a little bit more empowered, can find some runners in their community, and sign up for some self-defense classes. Thanks so much for being on the show, Whitney.
Thank you, Claire. It was fun.
Be sure to follow Whitney on the Mother Runners with an S on Instagram and themotherrunners.com. And now it's time for the Mental Strength Minute. Fortify your mind in 60 seconds or less. Today's topic is relaxed fast. It can seem like a paradox, but the best way to run your fastest is to relax. When we're concentrating on something challenging like fast running, what we tend to do is tense up. We might clench our fists, our faces, or our abs, all in an effort to squeeze every last drop out of our performance. This is actually counterproductive. It wastes energy that can be used to run fast. No one runs faster with a grimace on their face or with literal white knuckles from a death grip. We run faster when we find a way to let the effort flow without wasting energy. So when you find yourself tensing up, try using relaxed fast as a mantra. Relax your face and focus on running smooth, not tense. Thank you so much for listening to the Planted Runner podcast. The ability for me to make this show absolutely depends on the number of listens, downloads, reviews on Apple Podcasts, and ratings on Spotify. So if you've already reviewed, thank you. If not, please take a moment after your run today to give it 5 stars. I also want to mention that you can get my free Ultimate Fueling Guide for runners when you sign up for my weekly updates, where I share stories and tips that I don't share anywhere else. Join us today at theplantedrunner.com/join. Have a great run today.